What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the PikaPikaPaPa, and today we're going to be looking at some restock data, okay? So listen, we all know Brilliant Stars, Lost Origin. Listen, Brilliant Stars was on the way to a $200 box. It was all the way up over 180 bucks, and then a little restock was announced, and we saw the price come back down. Now, Lost Origin was doing the same thing. These are two sets that we all think are going to be two of the biggest in the Sword and Shield era. Lost Origin was all the way up over 170 bucks. A small restock was announced, and guess what? The restock hasn't even hit yet. It's supposed to hit the middle of next month, yet we're already starting to see the impact on it. So I thought, why don't we do this? Why don't we take a deep dive into what Brilliant Stars did? We can layer it into what Lost Origin did. And also, this is a great spot for us to go ahead and gather some data because it's going to happen again, right? This is part of what happens in the Pokemon collecting and investing space. We see all kinds of restocks happen from time to time, and it's good for us to understand how it affects current sets. That way we can layer it in when it happens in the future. So listen, if that kind of stuff excites you, we're going to be looking at booster boxes, elite trainer boxes, Pokemon Center exclusive elite trainer boxes. We're going to be looking at the top 5 singles for both of these awesome sets in this video. And if you like that, listen, hit that subscribe button. We're building an amazing community. We'd love for you to be a part of it. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up. Questions or comments, drop them down below. I love interacting with you guys. Now, with that being said, let's dive into these two awesome sets and see what has happened since these restocks were announced. Now, as I said, both of them were on their way up almost to $180, $190. Brilliant Stars was over $180. Small reprint, restock, whatever you want to call it, was announced, and it dropped back down to MSRP. We've seen the same thing with Lost Origin, and as I said, this restock hasn't even theoretically happened yet, right? So crazy. But here's the thing. I'm going to go into a little collector investor theory before we start looking at the rest of this data. So for me, it's very interesting that they announce a restock when it's currently not out of stock on the Pokemon Center, right? So it's kind of hard to restock something that's not out of stock. But my thought is this: it's probably out of stock in all of your local card shops. Pokemon is probably having a problem moving it through the Pokemon Center at the velocity that which they want, right? They would prefer to sell it on the Pokemon Center because think about it, they get all the money. But if they can't sell it, they want to move the product. And they know that there's demand because the price is going up. So they probably decide to reallocate a lot of what they already have. I don't think this is a reprint, right? Like Brilliant Stars is only 12 months old. Lost Origin is only 9 months old. Like, I don't think that they turn the printing presses back on. I think they're reallocating some of the inventory that they already have and they're moving it into the local card shops. Now, for me, that's an important piece of the puzzle because if there's not an additional influx of more cards being printed, then these sets are going to do what they were destined to do all time. Now, Pokemon doesn't want to send them to local card shops. I'm not saying they're against it by any means, but again, when you send it to a local card shop, you got to sell it at wholesale, and then the local card shop has to pay it or sell it at a premium in order to make some money. Pokemon would much rather sell it on the Pokemon Center, but probably what happened was they have these run rates. It's just not selling as fast as they thought, so they said, hey, we got to get the product off the shelves. Let's send it back out to these local card shops. Collectors win, investors win. Pokemon Company wins, the card shops wins. It is a win for everybody. So this is a good deal right here. Now, the reason I think this is also a restock instead of a reprint is I think we sometimes underestimate the amount of product that the Pokemon Company has just sitting in warehouses, right? Great example. The other day in the Discord, somebody mentioned, hey, listen, there's a restock on XY Evolutions booster boxes on, or not booster boxes, Elite Trainer boxes on the Pokemon Center website. So guess what? Everybody on the Discord piled in there, and sure enough, there was Champion's Path, there was XY Evolutions Elite Trainer boxes, there was all kinds of old product on there. Now, of course, PikaPikaPaPa missed out, as most of us did, but the reality is it was restocked. Now, they didn't turn the printing presses back on. They didn't print this product. They just had it in stock. Probably what happened was Paldea Evolved isn't selling at the rate that they hoped. They're probably going to be, I don't know, maybe $50,000 short of their sales budget for this month. So the guys in the sales department sat back and they're like, you know what? I know what to do. Let's pop some popcorn. Let's put some of this old product on the Pokemon Center. Let's watch the fireworks, and then we'll hit our sales goal for the month. And that's what happened, right? They probably needed $50,000 worth of sales. They put $50,000 worth of product up, and it sold out immediately. And that's just when I say, hey, listen, there's a difference between reprint and restock, and I simply think that these two products are being restocked. And now everybody who was freaking out thinking they might not be able to get this product, they were going to the secondary market, even though it's available in the Pokemon Center. Remember, not everybody has access to the Pokemon Center, so a lot of people had to go to the secondary market in order to buy these products. But now that we know it's being restocked in Lost Origin, it has come back down to MSRP just as Brilliant Stars has. Now, Now, I think this is really interesting that that's where they settled. Brilliant Stars has been there for a couple months now, and now I think Lost Origin, I don't see Lost Origin dropping much below MSRP. You can see after the announcement there was that little big drop, and now it's even starting to tail up just a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see with the influx of product into the market where this ends up in the long run. But I do think that seeing where Brilliant Stars was and how in a very short amount of time it's already back to MSRP, I think that bodes well for Lost Origin. So if you can get it under MSRP, whatever that might be, there might be upside. And this is why we look at older sets that went through a similar process and compare them to the new one. So with that out of the way, listen, I committed to going through the top 5 cards of each of these sets, and that's what we're going to do now. And I think it's important to understand that the way singles market performs is different than the way the sealed market performs. So let's take a look at that. And we're of course going to start off with the 2 big chase cards in both set. We got the Charizard V Alt Art. We got the Giratina V Alt Art. These are the big dogs. Now, the Charizard V Alt Art, listen, even with that little restock, at the end of the day, the trend line has not changed. It has continued down and to the right. I mean, this is in the high 130s now, which is, I think, an amazing price on an amazing piece of cardboard, especially if you have this strong conviction that Brilliant Stars is going to be one of the best sets in the Sword and Shield era. Then I think getting the best card from one of the best sets in the Sword and Shield era at 130 bucks, I think is a great deal. Now, the Giratina, on the other hand, is starting to come down a little bit. You will see, though, even prior to this announcement of the restock, you see that it had flattened out. Maybe in the singles market, we won't see the full effect until the restock actually happens, but it's interesting to see that it was flat. It was announced, and then it started to come down just a little bit. Far from a crash, far from a huge trend line change, but it certainly has come down just a little bit, and this card has been on a freaking freight train locomotive mission since the end of the year, right? Like, we knew that, we looked at all the top cards from 2022 and how they performed thus far. This was the only card that was up double digits out of all of the top 10 cards from 2022, so this card was doing really, really well, and it's interesting to see it flatten out a little bit. So now let's look at the number 2 cards, right? This Charizard V-Star, I think, is absolutely beautiful. I love this card so much. Again, this is another one where we just see the trajectory seems to be unchanged, right? It started really aggressively down and to the right, which we expect from new sets. We always see that. We've certainly seen that in Scarlet and Violet and Paldea Evolved, even though Paldea Evolved has a couple cards that are bucking the trend and are going up, actually, which is very, very interesting. But Charizard V-Star right here, coming down, trend hasn't changed. If anything, it's starting to flatten out a little bit. Again, I'm going to say it, like, if you think this is one of the big sets, this is one of the big chase cards, at sub $70, I think that's an absolute steal for the future. This Charizard card is really great, but again, this is about the restocks and the impact, and it certainly doesn't seem to have any here. Same thing with the Aerodactyl. We will have to keep an eye on it, but it's been essentially flat for the last, I don't know, 6 months. So not a lot of movement in it. We haven't seen any big movements in it since the announcement. It'll be interesting to see, again, if we get more product in market, if it's going to change anything. But my biggest thing is this: if you love this card, and if for whatever reason, when those booster boxes hit your local card shops, if this does drop in price, it might be a cool opportunity, because in my mind, and I don't know anybody Pokemon Company, this isn't confirmed, this is just my theory as a business person, right? Is that I believe that this is just a reallocation of current stock. I don't think this is an additional reprint. So one way or the other, this product was going to hit the market, whether it's now or later. So keep an eye on that in this Lost Origin space. Here we go. We're looking at the number 3 chase cards. This Arceus is the first time we've seen one when, after the Brilliant Stars was announced, it actually crashed. Came down big time, hasn't shown any sign of slowing down. It's got a weight on its ankle and it's sinking to the bottom of the ocean right now. Will that change? I don't know. Was that directly in effect because of that Brilliant Stars restock? I don't know that either. 1 out of 3 is not enough for us to say that that was caused by that, but it is interesting to see that the top 2 cards fared the same, and now we're starting to get into number 3. We're going to look at number 4, we're going to look at number 5, and we see some impact here at number 3, so something to keep an eye on right here. Then we got the Rotom V Alt Art right there. Again, it doesn't seem to be any kind of price change on that. It's going to be interesting to see how some of these Lost Origin number 3, number 4, number 5 cards perform, because as we start talking about them, you're going to see that they don't have a lot of the art is beautiful, but they don't have a lot of the big name power, right? Like number 3 in Brilliant Stars is Arceus, number 3 in Lost Origin is a Rotom V, right? Like there's a fundamental difference. We know Arceus V is one of the top graded Pokemon every single month in and out, so we know it's got the name power, but it'll be interesting to see how these cards perform with the upcoming restocks. Now, again, 2 big names right here in the number 4 slot. This Umbreon card is just absolutely awesome. But it did the same thing the Arceus did, right? Now we're starting to see a trend outside of the top 2. Number 3 and number 4 saw a big price drop after that restock was announced. The difference between the Arceus and the Umbreon is Umbreon's like, listen, this is the Sword and Shield era. I'm the big dog of this era. I'm going to bounce right back up, which it did. So really exciting to see that, yes, this one came down, but it also has that tick up here. So that might be interesting when we look at the number 4 card for Lost Origin, which is another big name Pokemon, right? Like this Pikachu VMAX, which is just another stunning freaking piece of cardboard. So if this happens to go through any kind of big drop, it might have the wherewithal, it might have the name power, the star power to do the big bounce just like this Umbreon did right here. So it could be really, really interesting to keep an eye on it. But as of right now, Pikachu's like, I'm Pikachu, I'm the big dog, I don't care, he could care less. It is doing the exact same thing, no big change in the trend line. So now we're gonna get to the number 5 thing that this is a really cool for me, this Ultra Ball. Hey, I pulled this as a family. We pulled it not long ago. I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And sometimes I submit cards to PSA simply because we pull them as a family and I want them encapsulated because it's just a memory and I want to keep it forever. Like I know I talk a lot about the investing side of things, but this is so much about my family and the enjoyment that we get from the hobby together. So I sent this through to PSA to get graded and it's actually on its way. Actually, it is back. I just got to get it in the mail. So anyways, long story, excited to have this and the price has just been going nuts up and to the right. So really cool to see that this card, again, even with the restock, it just didn't care. The trend line is the same up and to the right. This card is doing really, really well. A lot of people are excited about it. So it's interesting to see this card on this bull trend. And this bull trend has been going on since December, right? So it's not like this was affected by rotation or anything. It was announced months after December. It has been on an awesome, awesome bull run ever since December. And then, you know, we got right here, the Galarian Berserker right here. I don't know the future of this card is. I mean, it is an absolutely awesome piece of artwork. It's stunning. I love it. I think this is a freaking awesome, awesome card. But it's been on this downward in the right trajectory. Does it have the wherewithal? Does it have the name power? Does it have the studliness to stay at number 5 in this big set that is Lost Origin? I don't know. But again, we haven't seen any trend change in this card ever since the announcement of the restock. So now that we're through the top 5 in both sets, we're going to get into the Elite Trainer boxes. And again, we were just talking about booster box restocks, like it has nothing to do with the Elite Trainer boxes, but I did think that this would be interesting for us to talk about because at the end of the day, these contain packs. Packs are being, redistributed into the market. So it was interesting for me to see what happened. Now, the bottom 2 graphs, those are the Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs. Look, nothing has changed with those, right? They're still in the low 60s, even though you can buy them on Pokemon Center right now for $49.99. Absolutely crazy. But anyways, it doesn't matter. They're still in the low 60s. Not a lot of change. You actually see the Brilliant Stars one has been on an upward in the right trajectory ever since that restock was announced, which is interesting. So maybe people devalued the booster box. Once the booster box was announced, they thought, hey, there's going to be more of these in the market. And maybe they piled into the Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs because they thought, hey, there's more exclusivity in this. You certainly know the PikaPikaPaPa thinks that when you're buying these Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs, that's what you're buying. You're buying exclusivity, right? You don't have to worry about the restocks quite as much. So interesting to see that. Lost Origin PC ETB is still doing the exact same thing. Then when we get to the regular Elite Trainer boxes on the top, you'll see not a whole lot, right? In February, Brilliant Stars was flat. It dropped recently. It's starting to tail up a little bit. And then Lost Origin, nothing changed. Trendline is actually up and to the right. So really exciting to see these Elite Trainer boxes doing what they're doing. So hey, listen, I thought this was a cool video, right? Like I absolutely know Lost Origin hasn't even hit the market yet, but I wanted to take a look at Brilliant Stars. I wanted to see where Lost Origin is right now. That way we at least have a point in time to monitor and we can see 3, 4, 5 months from now where these sets perform and if this had any real meaningful impact on them. Because listen, who knows? Silver Tempest, Chilling Reign, like there's a lot of sets that could be reprinted, restocked, whatever you want to call it here in the future. And I want to make sure that we're all playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers and we are ready to pounce. So with that being said, I hope you guys have an epic day. If you made it to the end of the video and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. If you like what you saw, give us a thumbs up. Questions or comments, drop them down below. I appreciate you and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks everybody.